Everybody, hey, it's Lee Godbold with Junk Removal Authority, where we help junk removal business owners make more money and live a better life. Here at JRA, if you guys are looking for digital marketing services, Google ads, search engine optimizations, or amazing looking websites that convert really well, then JRA is the company to contact. You can check us out over at junkrA.com. We'd love to help you out. We've helped out a bunch of companies, and we're still gonna have room. We'd love to work with you. Okay, so right now on my screen, I have got an ad came out a little over a month ago, I guess almost 2 months ago, um, that I actually went looking for. I didn't necessarily see this one, but we had been noticing trends the entire year with increased cost, definitely increased cost per conversions, with cost per clicks up some as well. And really, one of the things we notice is this one of the strategies that we used a lot of, target CPA, seemed to no longer be working extremely well. So I went out and I looked and I was like, are other people seeing this increase across all industries? Has Google raised their rates essentially, just like everybody else has with inflation? And that is the case. So this particular ad right here talks about conversion rates actually having decreased while cost per clicks have increased. So your cost per lead's gone up and the percentage you convert has gone down. So that's kind of a double whammy. Where that comes in really into effect is one of the strategies that we use after we get a campaign started is called target CPA. And essentially, we tell Google we want to try and get a conversion. I'm going to simplify this. We want to try and get a conversion for a certain rate or under. And depending on your area, places like Raleigh, North Carolina, Huntsville, Alabama, Memphis, Tennessee, basically areas outside of California, outside of New York City, outside of some areas in New Jersey. It's just some just kind of super competitive areas. Chicago, outside of that, not the suburbs of Chicago, but like the central part of Chicago. Outside of those areas, we want to see a lot of times 45 to maybe mid 50s cost per conversion. And sometimes once we get it optimized well, we've got some companies that are in the 30s. And that's normally where, with a junk removal business, that you need to be. I'll say in like the mid 50s now, that you need to be able to actually be cash flow positive or at minimum break even on a typical junk removal lead. Now, by breaking even or making a little bit of money with those conversion rates, you're not necessarily going to get rich off of Google Ads. What happens though is those people, they go and they do the 3 R's. They reuse you, they leave a review online, they refer you to their friends and family, and the lifetime value of ads becomes great. The issue is if your cost per conversion gets up and you're out, unless you're in areas where you can get like $600 job averages, 550, 600, 700, you can't really afford to get up into the 70s per conversion. So for the areas like Raleigh, North Carolina, and some of the areas I listed, we do well to get about a $400 job average to just over. So we need to be in that kind of $50 range, mid 50s anyway, to be able to be profitable. What was happening is we'd have these target CPA set. Let's say they were set at $55. We started seeing conversion rates pop up in the 70s or in the 80s. And that's not good. So this is what we do. In ways, we're going back to what we did for many, many years. It's been the last 2 years or so that we've started using target CPA. It used to be we did good old fashioned manual bidding. And now we're going back to, on some accounts, when target CPA isn't performing, we're going back to manual bidding. Now, we might experiment going back to target CPA once Google has had a chance to see the new data coming through. But I think what's happening is the conversion rates are just going down as a whole. It's more competitive. Maybe more people are skipping ads. I don't know. There's also local service ads that they have in there. So the landscape overall is changing. And I don't know if Google's data is necessarily keeping up to where it can really keep up with with target CPA. So sometimes we have to like reset it. So we go back to manual CPA. We manage our own bids. Then maybe we go back to target CPA. Maybe we just keep managing our own bid, managing the bids manually. Now, there is a model that I like using that it's still manual CPC, but it takes an element of automated bidding, and that's enhanced CPC. So a lot of times we'll switch it to enhanced CPC. And what enhanced CPC is basically doing is Google is looking at the data it has, and it says, all right, this individual is more likely to convert. So we'll spend a little more than what you said on max cost per click for this particular individual to try and drive a conversion. But on average, we'll keep it below what you said is your max CPC. So later on down the line, for somebody that's less likely to convert, we'll do a lower cost per click. So I like enhanced. Now, sometimes we just noticed there was a campaign, and I'll pull it up in a minute and show you. There was a campaign on enhanced CPC that wasn't keeping the CPC beneath our manual, our max CPC. So we actually reverted it from enhanced to straight up old fashioned manual CPC, which puts us 100% in control. So this is some of the stuff that we look at. It's a small portion of what we look at, but it's perhaps the largest portion. Watching cost per conversion, adjusting bids, and trying to get that cost per conversion at the place it needs to be for companies to be profitable. So let's pop into a campaign right now. I've got key information blurred out in terms of who this actually is. This is what we're looking at, though. So this particular company is used to seeing cost per conversions in the 50s. And right now, over the last 30 days, they're at 78.82. Now, they're in an area that gets a little bit larger of a job size. They're closer to 600 average job size. So they're in a little bit better position to withstand a 78.82 cost per conversion than somebody like in Raleigh, North Carolina, where we get like $400 average jobs. But he's used to paying less. And actually, if you go back to last year, it's quite a bit less. We can even compare to the previous year out of curiosity. And cost per conversion based off the previous year, it's about 8%. Now, there are different months also. I can tell you right now, he was down into the 50s. So he's definitely paying more now than he used to, even with a high average job sale. So what we're going to do, because here's one of the things we're looking at. There's a couple things. One, if I look at the overall absolute top impression share, so this is when he is number one all the time. For the demolition campaign, it's 50% of the time. That's too much. We've got bids too aggressive there. On the junk removal side of things, at 23%, that's about where we want to see this number. I don't care if it's less, though. The top impression share, it's nice if it's a bit more, but this is just simply a competitive market at this moment. So what we have to look at is lowering his cost per conversion some. He converts about 18%. It's about average for a JRA web page. Click-through rate of about 15, anywhere from 13 to 15%. Again, that's pretty average for most JRA campaigns. If you look at the average cost per click, this is not a bad average cost per click. So a lot of times we look at runaway target CPAs, the average, they'll have the average cost per click way up. This is still probably elevated a bit over what it maybe needs to be. So when we jump in here we can jump here and look and see what the target CPA is set at. You can see it's set at $55. The actual it's been getting is $79. Sometimes you might want to back up and look kind of on the average what it's been. So you can see the average target CPA is set at 48, and it's been getting 43 since the beginning of April, but it's really fallen off from middle May all the way through the end of this month, and we just can't wait any longer. We have to make some changes now because this cost per conversion has gotten too high. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into settings. And we're going to switch this from a target CPA bid model to a manual bid model. I'm going to leave on enhanced CPC for now. We'll save that. And mention optimizing for conversion value. You can do that, but the only conversions that we have set for it to follow is an online booking, a contact form submittal, and a phone call. So all three of those are great conversions. The phone call and online booking are better than the contact form. but they're all great conversions. So we just say, hey, optimize just to get a conversion. We aren't necessarily keeping up with what we value the conversions at because we value each one of them in this particular case. All right, so that's now been changed to enhance CPC. So we're going to hop into the campaigns, and we have not I've not looked at these manual bids in a while, but we're going to hop into here, and this is the ad group. Let's go on into the keyword level. And this particular campaign has a phrase match. It's showing a bunch of broad match stuff. We don't ever do broad match. That was in there from a long time ago. This is an old campaign, and we were running an experiment at one point. So in this particular one, this campaign also, we're going to add in an exact match for junk removal. There's also what we call a SCAG, a single keyword ad group at this point. So we've got a very, very focused ad group for this particular keyword. And this campaign has a lot of those. So the thing that I'm looking at right now is I want to look at the average cost per click. Let's look over the last 14 days to start with. The average cost per click is coming in at $14.20. Well, see how many clicks it's generated? Google tells you a lot of stuff. Don't believe it. It says an ad isn't showing now. Well, maybe at this very moment, it might not be showing, but it's got a great quality score, 8 out of 10. All this is good. And obviously it's been generating clicks, and it's been showing. Even the last 7 days, it looks great. So in this case, this warning, you're just kind of disregard. What I'm going to look at is the average cost per click is showing in at $14.20. We want to decrease his cost per conversion, so we want to bring down that cost per click. I'm going to do about a $2 decrease. So I like trying to keep these bid decreases between 10 to 20%. What's going to happen is tomorrow we're going to jump in here and we're going to make sure that the campaign is actually spending. And we're not going to make any more changes tomorrow if it's still spending. We're going to give it a week or so, then reevaluate and see how it's done. Sometimes you need to wait 2 weeks. A week might be a little quick, but when I first switch these bidding models, I like trying to make changes as quick as I feel is appropriate, which is about once a week. And then once it's down to just fine tuning, then we might do once every 2 weeks just to allow more data to come in. So I'm going to come over here and we're going to lower this thing down to like 1220. And then we're going to go in to this is a SCAG. I also want to do this and pop into here. And for now, we're just going to, we normally label SCAGs too, so we know. But for right now, the reason I'm doing this is I can now manage it on the ad group level. It just saves one step from us having to jump in and change it. So it's just going to reflect on the ad group 12.2. So I'm going to do the exact same thing for these other ad groups and these other campaigns. We're going to hop into each one of these. We're going to look at what the average cost per click is, and we're going to decrease it somewhere around 10 to 20%. Tomorrow I'm going to check. If it looks good and it's still showing, it's still getting clicks, then a week from now we're going to check in again and potentially make some changes. So that's a strategy that you can use for Google Ads. Target CPA is nice because it's taking data in and it's changing bids all the time. Enhanced CPC gives us an element of that, but we have to make a lot more changes. So when you work with an ads agency, that's the type of stuff they should be going in weekly and kind of looking at budget allocation and what your bids are looking like, and maybe making a change once a week or once every other week, just kind of getting everything fine-tuned and keeping up with new competitors that pop in your market and changing market conditions. So just to let everybody know, there's been some stuff on forums, different ads companies that specialize in the junk removal industry. There's several complaints about a lot of us, JRA. There's, some of the other guys out there. There's a couple companies out there that'll tell you, I think they do a pretty good job. And I'm seeing complaints on all of them. The deal is, guys, it's not necessarily if you've gone with a good, reputable ads agency, and there's some differences between all of us in terms of level of customer service and even some of the results that you get. And our prices are slightly different. But for the most part, if you go with somebody with a proven experience in the junk removal industry, if you're seeing a lot of raising costs, it's Google, it's your area. These ads, these articles are out there. It's inflation. Google's just raised up their prices. So it's a changing market condition. Now, what our job is, and if you're managing your own campaigns, what your job is, you got to know where you need that cost per conversion, and we have to work on getting there. And then on the side of the junk removal company, you have to know what your average job sale is. And I would say, for the most part, if you're 380 to 450 average job sale, you need to be in the mid 50s to maybe 60 cost per conversion. Hopefully, you're in the 40s. You're actually making a little bit of money then, a little bit more than obviously in the mid 50s. If you are 450 to 600, you guys are probably closer to be in the mid 60s, low 70s. Again, a roundabout. And this depends on how good you are on the phone and how good you are at closing the job once you get on site. But that's generally where you're going to need to be. And now we have some guys that see $800 average job sales in super competitive markets, and they might be able to afford to go to 80s, 90s cost per conversion. But it gets hard to make money once you get up that high. So sometimes we have to get those bids lowered. We have to go to manual. We have to accept not showing all the time just to make sure that we're getting a lead and we're getting a job, that we're actually making money on it. Because if we can't make money on it, we're not going to have the cash to pay Google, and we're going to go out of business. Guys, I hope this video was helpful. We're going to be rolling out some more tips and tricks on junk removal Google Ads campaigns coming up. And if you got any need, if you're running an ads campaign, you'd like to take a look at running it for you, then make sure you check us out at junkarray.com. We'd love to help you out. Again, I'm Lee Godbold, Junk Removal Authority, where we help junk removal business owners make more money and live a better life. We'll catch you next time.